the others to join. Probably we could start at present ourselves, make a short presentation just to get to know each other.
Yes, please. Yeah, we can start. Thank you for joining us, Kalin. I think after yesterday's more formal view about business process modeling and reengineering using the software product Aris, it's a good shift to look at the big picture, how companies are viewing the process of restructuring from the top perspective of the chief executive officer. Kalin Yonov was the CEO, which made the significant restructuring of Belana company. And yeah, let's start from you, kind of presenting in a bit more broader context of your work, helping companies restructure, helping them overcome the most common barriers that companies face when they have to change significantly the business processes and the way they work. You have an interesting and promising career in this field, and a lot more companies in Bulgaria would need similar services in the future.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so about me, I'm 42 years old. So far, I have collected 12 precious years in top positions in international companies. All of them based in positions were based in Bulgaria. Before Bulgaria, I studied in Athens, Greece. I took a bachelor degree in business administration and management. And I continued my studies in Spain, in Madrid, in University Carlos III, which is a very good economic university. I did the same, business administration and management. So when I returned to Bulgaria, so far I have worked in companies with Greek ownership because of my studies in Greece. My Greek language is fluent, so having in mind that Greek companies are one of the main investors in Bulgarian market, it was very good combination for me and for the investors to have a person with my skills. So I'm a fan of heavy industry. So far I have worked in metals and in paper. I have managed companies with turnover more than 170 million euro per year and more than 300 personnel. More than once there was need for restructuring, and not only in Bulgaria. As an interim executive manager, I was appointed to North Macedonian company and also to a company in Serbia, where in both companies I did a very quick and robust restructuring program for 1 year. So my last project in Belana was 2 years restructuring program, really intense, really hard, and quite holistic, I would say. I would give you more details about it further in the lecture. So in general, I studied also MBA in strategic management, your program in the Sofia University in the Faculty of Economics and Business. And I was very happy from the quality of the MBA. I was, to be honest, quite enthusiastic about it. And I'm grateful to Mr. Yalamov for letting me share my experience with you. For me, it's a great honor. In fact, I'm still a student like you because I'm currently finishing my master thesis which occasionally has the subject Restructuring, the case study of a Bulgarian manufacturing company, Belana. So in fact, I'm going to make you a presentation of already ready material which I had from my master thesis. So let's have a few words about you. Could we start with Amanda?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, we hear you.
Okay, my name is Amanda. I'm 23 years old. I'm from Nigeria. I studied economics education for my bachelor's degree in Babcock University in Nigeria.
Okay.
That's much.
Okay. And what do you expect from the strategic management program? What's your aim, your interest?
Okay, I'm in the human resources program.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
basically what I expect from this is to be able to reach out to a lot of people, like when to learn how to employ people, understand more about how to relate to the people working in an organization, basically.
Okay. Good, Amanda. Thank you. Thank you. So, Boris Mokriev, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I am 23 as well. I'm from Sofia, Bulgaria. I just graduated my bachelor's in financial control.
Okay.
And yeah, that's about it.
So, what's your aim from the MBA now?
I am really curious about the IT industry, and I think it's a good extension of my bachelor's. And I think I'm going to learn a lot about it.
Okay. And what's your dream about the IT industry? Having a startup company, being a CFO?
I'm not really sure about dream. Yeah, it's more depends on the situation. I wouldn't do a startup right now for sure.
Okay. So you are after a career path in big international company like VMware, for example, or Progress.
Let's say like this, yeah.
They are looking for financial planning and analysis guys to oversee their worldwide operations.
Perfect.
So I see a future for you.
Thank you.
With this MBA. So Emmanuel Manolov.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Emmanuel, and I hold a master's degree in informatics from the Faculty of Mathematics and Informatics at the Sofia University.
Okay.
And currently I work at NetInfo, which is the web company that owns the biggest websites, Bulgarian websites currently.
Not almost, is the biggest web advertiser in Bulgaria.
And we're the other one, not advertisers. We are getting advertisements.
Yes, yes.
This is the main source for revenue.
Yes, yes. You are the group of companies which have the biggest share of Bulgarian visitors on monthly basis.
Yes, that's it. Close to 80%. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what is your career path? What are you going after?
Not sure. For now, I'm just finishing some study that I started a long time ago, and I want to formalize what I know, what I've learned through the years working at the company and doing different jobs. Some of them are management, some of them are development. So, yeah, just some kind of closure for me.
Okay, okay. So strategic management is a very good choice for you. So it's quite needed in all IT-related projects. They always lack a managerial experience.
Yeah, because most of them, they start small and grow, and the growth comes so quick that they are not ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Manuel. So, Hent Alotaibi, are you with us?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Tell us about you.
Yeah, I'm Hindra Taibi, 38, from Saudi Arabia. I have bachelor in business administration from Imam University.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, and how did you land in Bulgaria?
Sorry?
How did you come to Bulgaria? How did you find our amazing master program?
Yeah, my husband work in the Saudi embassy.
Okay.
As a diplomatic, and I have been here for 2 years.
Okay, good. So, and I imagine the Saudi embassy did very good intelligence on the market, and they found for you the best MBA in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Hand. So, Mr. Nikolai Vuntsov.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nikolai, and my bachelor is for information technologies. I work in system administration area, and I have interest in business administration as a whole, and that's the reason I'm here. And I'm glad that we have guest lecturers like you, so we can gain from your experience. Thank you for that.
Okay, so sysadmin, this is the heavy cavalry.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nikolai. So, Ms. Svetlana Yaneva.
Yes, hello everyone. I am 30 years old. I have been working for Lufthansa Technik Sofia for 6 years. My bachelor degree is business administration for Faculty of Economic and Business Administration in Sofia University. Afterwards, I have 3 master degrees, and currently I'm a PhD also in Sofia University. My interests are in organizational development and change, re-engineering of business processes, and restructuring, of course, with the focus of organizational change and development.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Thank you very much. I'm also impressed from you.
So, Belana is our last guest. Belana.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Belana. I'm a bachelor degree. My bachelor degree is business administration, also on that faculty. And I'm now working as a general ledger accountant at Lufthansa Technik Sofia also.
Okay. So Svetlana brought you on board or the opposite?
No, we didn't know that we are in the same course.
Just obviously Lufthansa Technik Sofia rules the course, so.
Okay, good. So let me tell you a few words and start because time is running. So I tried to prepare for you the presentation in 2 parts. So in the first part, I'm trying to share with you my views, general views from my experience regarding the change management as a whole and the need for change and for restructuring and the most, I would say, the techniques and the methodologies which I have found from the literature which work for me. Because organizational change and restructuring, it's a huge field of research. So for the last 8 years, probably, they have been written many books. So it's very easy to get lost in the lot of theories and the lot of approaches and methodologies. Every scholar has his 5 or 10 or 15 steps to accomplish any restructuring project. So I have done a small, how to say, theoretical review, very small. I'm not going to make you tired or bored, hopefully. And this is like 1/3 of the lecture. And then we jump to the specific case study of Belana, when I will take you through the restructuring process. So the lecture is unstructured, meaning that we can always go back or go forward or stop and make a conversation on something you thought about. Also, after the lecture, there will be Q&A section, and even after, you can always reach me by phone or by email to ask me things about restructuring, because now I'm going to share you, let's say, 2 years very extensive experience, like 14 hours per day, every working day, and it's difficult to summarize it within 1 hour. Mostly I will present the results. It's difficult to present to you the whole process, while in fact it is the process which matters, because from the process you learn how to apply to other companies which are not in the same sector, not exactly in the same situation. But let's start and we'll see in the course. Okay. So I'm just sharing my screen. So it's my first time with Microsoft Teams. So just a second to find open share tray. So I hope that I'm sharing with you my screen. Do you see my screen, please?
Yes.
Yes, we have it.
Okay. So this is it. Restructuring and Reengineering, the case study of Belana. So starting now with the change management in general. So currently we live in very disruptive times. So usually when change is initiated, there are two scenarios. The change could be initiated internally because the stakeholders in the company agree that some changes should be made in order for the company to continue growth or to realign its business direction, or usually some external factors like competitors, like economic environment, can impose forcefully the change from outside. So all people involved, both business owners and top managers, are forced to reimagine and to rethink their business models constantly. This is a very heavy task, frankly speaking. The whole business environment is constantly speeding up, going faster and faster. Just to get an idea, a top manager like CEO had the average term of service 6 to 7 years. So the average time which a CEO was serving within a company was 6 years, only 10 years ago. Currently, the average term of a CEO is 4 years. And this term is going shorter and shorter. So what happens is that big companies are changing constantly the top management, aiming with every new CEO to give boost to change processes and to new ideas. So frankly speaking, CEO are expendable, but they need to aggregate new skills. So after one project, they go to next project and to next project, and aggregating their experience, they become more valuable. So be aware that top management career, it's always short-term positions, or not always, but this is the majority of the cases. So these are a few mega trends which were defined by the global strategy and leadership team of PricewaterhouseCoopers. So in 2013, they prepared these 5 pillars of changes which are going to radically reshape our future, our close future. So we foresee very big changes in until 2030. And we need to be ready, because these changes in our external environment will inevitably change also the way we do business. So we have the urbanization. So every day, 1.5 million people are going from the periphery to big cities. So small cities become big, and big cities become megalopolis. In demographics, we know that until 2030, there will be 1 billion people worldwide more. And more of these people will come from emerging countries like India, China, Africa, Western countries, including Bulgaria. We are now kind of a Western country in these statistics. We don't have increasing population, rather we'll face increasing of average age of our population. So these demographics will put great pressure on global economy because there will be big percentage of young people in emerging economies which will be unemployed, and very big percentage of pensioners in Western economies. We have also the technological breakthrough and digitalization, which is very disruptive. So we have seen what's going on with all this online trade. So the online global trade is increasing every year. So if a company has no online presence, it doesn't exist literally anymore. And we have the robotization, automation coming already on stake. So we have the Industry 4.0 currently. This is a standard for automation, which is applied by the industry. Already, technologically, we are ready to substitute 15% of existing jobs with robots. And until mid of 2030, so in the next 15 years, the robot automation will be ready to undertake 50% of available job positions. So the good news for you is that people with higher education will not suffer so much from the automation and from the robots. So only 10% of job positions which require higher education would be replaceable by robots. So the climate. So we have 1 billion people more. We'll have a lot of technology, a lot of robots, a lot of electric cars. So all these things will increase a lot the consumers and the consumed raw materials. So we'll face scarcity of raw materials, which until recently were abundant, and in a short time they will become scarce. So not only metals or any other raw materials, or also very, how to say, usual goods which were accustomed, like water. Water now is available in Bulgaria, but there are many countries in the world where they have problem with water, and this will continue to increase as a problem. So as a result from this, all these changes, there will be new players on the global scene. We'll see some emerging economies collapsing, probably from the big share of unemployed young people. So when I say big share, imagine, for example, now Egypt, which is big economy with 80 million people, and they have more than 40% unemployment in young people. And there is no any, how to say, prospect that this situation will change. Probably it will deteriorate. So imagine what will be the pressure on their governments. So this is it. And this was also speed up. All these changes were speed up from global events like the financial crisis in 2008, and now with the COVID-19 crisis in 2020, we'll face even bigger acceleration, how to say, of changes. So the forecast in general is that the gap until wealthy nations and the wealthy part of the population will increase. So the middle class will diminish its importance, unfortunately, and also the small and medium companies will face very big troubles to survive in this environment. So big will become bigger. So the small and the medium will need innovation, because one nice word for company restructuring is not to relate it with cost optimization or cost cutting or something like this. No, you say that we do innovate. So we innovate, we reinvent our business model, and this is the way we change the business and we restructure the business, and this is the target, to adapt. Yes, Mr. Yalamov?
Thank you. I just wanted to make a small comment because as you were saying all the things about robotics, automation. I just wanted to say that in room 215, which was supposed to be the venue of this meeting, we have now the guest meeting of Radio Sofia, having interviews with several people talking exactly about this, and I'll send you the record on that, but it would be in Bulgarian only. So, but it's interesting. Spasima, it's one of the leaders in transferring and changing used robots from car manufacturing industry in Germany into other industries by reprogramming them and re-engineering the processes in other manufacturing fields. Christian Michalo from the Association of Robotics and a few other companies. So it's just a nice coincidence of this simultaneous talking about the same thing.
This is the future and we cannot avoid it. What we need to do is the recommendations of big consultant companies are just to obtain new skills. They say that the people who manage to obtain new skills, they will ride the wave of automation and they will benefit from it because they will be more productive. They will be able to focus on more advanced areas of managerial application or business development. The people who are not skilled, they will face problems, and this problem will be transferred then to governments. This is it. So you see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay. So the idea is that we have to be already prepared. We have to plan, we have to gather information, knowledge, in order to be ready to plan for the unexpected. So as I have put here for you, a quote from Henry Kissinger, the most prominent diplomat of 20th century. So one of his quotes was that he was accused of being paranoid because he was always asking for more information, more intel on the allies of the States. And his answer was that, look, paranoia is well informed. So we always should be very well informed before doing any action. We should plan, and we should have plan B and plan C. So in general, in military and in also in production environment, there is a saying quoting that 2 is 1 and 1 is none. This means that if you go only with one scenario in your mind, it's very probable that you will fail. So you always need 2 scenarios, 2 alternatives, a backup plan always. You need a backup person on key position if something happens. You need this rule is applicable for the most simple things. So imagine you go to write down, let's say, for examine, and you have only one pen with you, and this pen doesn't work. So you fail because you cannot write your exam, and you have to start searching and asking the professor for a pen. So this is the saying that 1 means none. So you always need backup because, as Murphy's law says, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. This is a general rule applicable also in personal life, but in complex organizations like companies is always valid. So now I'm going to just to give you a small idea about the types of changes, okay, which we can apply to a company and how they transfer into real life. So there are many typologies, or let's say categorizations of change. So change could be a small scale change or large scale. Change could be incremental, so we can change, let's say, small scale things one after another, and this will be an incremental change, which at some point will become radical on aggregated level. The change can be in this also in this kind of conversation could be continuous. So the incremental change is continuous. So you continue putting small changes, aiming to accomplish the big one. So the change could be planned, carefully drafted plan by us, or could be emergent. So the emergent change is our rational decisions and plans, but caused by external actions. So the external environment forces us to do some changes, and we do it, of course. But there is big difference on this and on the planned change. Currently, in current business environment, most of the changes are emergent because the environment is not so static as it used to be 40, 30, or 20 years ago. So the environment is ever changing. So yes, we plan the changes, but as a response, usually to external interventions. And if we just do this day-to-day thing, okay, adapting to the requirements of the external environment, the changes are more or less operational. For this reason, we have, as a top managers with strategic management in thought, we have to find time for ourselves, okay, to get rid of operational duties in order to be able to think about the strategic repercussions and the strategic target, the vision, where we want to enter the company. So the two types of changes are the evolutionary, which is the incremental and continuous, slowly adding up and building up, and the revolutionary, which somebody comes into a factory and changes the whole structure, the whole set of processes. So it's very, how to say, revolutionary. It's the so-called bold stroke. So bold stroke means you with audacity you change the whole system. So in general, and we have some people here in the lecture who understand the developmental change and the transformational change. So these are terms from the organizational theory, from the group dynamics. So in general, the developmental change is, I'd say, incremental, continuous, evolutionary, and gradually, as we say in Bulgarian, when you aggregate many small quantitative changes, finally you achieve to a major qualitative change. So you change the whole system. So this is the transformational change or second order change. So the first order change is, for example, if I give you, so if you are working in my company and I give you some bonus to come because you are already late, you are young and you sleep until late, so I give you some bonus 50 level each month for you to come 8 o'clock. If you come 8 o'clock, you get the bonus. So this is quite behavioral, let's say, approach. It works. But this is first order change, which means that I have changed your attitude, your behavior. But once you go to another company, which is not paying attention so much to coming on time, you will start coming whenever you wish. But if I manage to talk to you personally and to convince you that it is good for you to be punctual, to be organized, and to be on time, because this will benefit you in the long term, and I change your values and your beliefs, so you start always to come 8 o'clock, even without having this bonus, this is a second order change in your behavior, in your attitude. So I have transformed your behavior. So, as we say, from the one side, we have the developmental change, which is the slow one, and we have the transformational change, which is the radical one. So these two changes, as we said, through small incremental changes, we can go to big transformation, but this could be slow process, or could be, if we go rapidly, we mess the system. So in general, when we make slow system in the organization, the people who bring these changes are usually all employees. So this is the so-called culture excellence approach, which is very modern in the last 30 years. It aims that all people in the company should be thinking about innovation, about improving the processes in the company, about bringing new ideas and better ways of doing business. So if all employees, in theory, are thinking about doing the better for the company, gradually their aggregated efforts will bring the company to big transformational change. But this will be slow, and it will be the aggregated effect of smaller peripheral changes. So the other approach, when we have rapid change, which is mostly the case in restructuring projects, in this case, the change agents are the senior management. So they think about strategic plan, about vision, where the company should go. So they draft a roadmap, action plan, and they forced it down, top down, through the middle management to the employees and the workers. So it depends who initiates the change. So the classical approach from ever since, easily observed in small family companies, is that the change agent, so the guy who makes the restructuring and the reshape of the company, is the business owner or the top management. What everybody is trying to do is to go to the other scenario, where all employees are involved in some kind of total quality management approach, which aims to improve the company, because this way of doing the changes takes some big burden from the shoulders of the top management, because the burden of innovation and restructuring is distributed among all employees. So these are two theories. So, and from theories, we should go to practice. So what happens in practice? If we do the changes directly from the top management in very directional style toward the whole company, if we do them quickly, very rapidly, so then in quadrant two, we see the most quick and radical way of changing the company, restructuring the company. So this is the level which affects the whole organization. In the strategy affects the whole structure, organizational chart, and all set of processes. But this approach has the risk of high disturbance of the system, with a possibility of collapsing in some departments and even diminishing the performance. So if you push a system very hard, so the system will fight back. So the resistance in change management is something which you cannot avoid. Even if you have the most carefully drafted restructuring plan, if you have the whole business process reengineering thing in ARIS, software, you have the support from the business owner, you have financial resources to accomplish the changes. Even if you have all tools on your side, the system, which means the employees, it's physical to react, because when you change anything in the company, there is fear that for losing power, for getting out of the comfort zone, and there is even anger for toward the top management for pushing these people out of their boundaries of comfort. So it's really difficult for this reason to do, how to say, mechanically and in very technical, technocratic way the changes. In order to have sustainable change, which will bring the company to second order change, which means to new way of thinking, new way of doing the business, we have to involve all employees in the company, or at least, practically speaking, one big percentage, which is subjectively calculated, at least 10% should be convinced for the change, that it is for the good of the company. They should advocate very vocally about this change, and will convince gradually the other people in the company. So, and when we speak about company change and company restructuring, so it could be a big company Reengineering, but also company restructuring could be something very small. For example, going from Windows 7 to Windows 10. So the sysadmin decides with the business owner that it's not safe to run Windows 7 anymore because it's out of technical support. And we communicate this change to the company, and you cannot imagine what kind of responses and reactions you can have, even from top managers, especially because they think they have power. So how strong they would resist the change, because they have accustomed to do their job in Windows 7. So Windows 10 for them, it's frightening. It's out of their comfort zone. So even such a small change, it's in this model, and it is considered business restructuring, kind of. So, any questions on this complicated table?
No, it looks clear.
Okay. Good. So, let's start with the roles in the restructuring process. So, there is the sponsor. This is the guy who initiates the whole process, who realizes that there is need something to be done. So he can realize it himself, or he can be presented a business plan from the top managers. So usually in big companies abroad, the sponsor is the board of directors, the supervisory board. So these are top managers who are semi-retired, who have big experience, and they are planning, how to say, the overall vision for the company development. There is a champion. This is if we consider a whole company restructuring, this is the CEO. If the company is smaller, so the CEO could be the sponsor, and the champion could be the director of each department. So the champion is the guy who does the job. He engages with all managers below him, and he has to bring the change into life. And for me, the most important group in these guys are the change agents. So change agents, they are the guys, usually the middle management, they are the backbone of the company. So in order to have any change in the company accomplished successfully, you need to have broad acceptance and shared vision for this change by the change agents. So first you have to convince as a top manager, assuming you are going to become directors of your departments or CEOs. So you have to convince the managers, the supervisors, the team leaders who are below you. You have to convince them about the change, because they are going to fight day to day on operational level with all employees and workers, and they are the people who are going to accomplish, to realize this project. And finally, the stakeholders, the employees. These are the guys who are the recipients of the change, and who usually also need very good communication about the reasons why we do these changes and where is going the ending result bringing the company. Because the big resistance is first from the change agents, who are managers, and in company restructuring, some departments are going to be merged, other are going to diminish their power, and other are going to gain some power. So there are political games, and for political reasons, some people will object and resist the change. And the stakeholders, the employees, they have very straight thinking. So if you go and start talking that, look, I'm going to do some company restructuring, so all employees, their first reaction is to react very negatively. They will say, okay, so you mean you are going to make some salary cut, salary reduction, or some cost optimization. So we're not going to use these nice pens, which we have, which cost €2 per pen. You are going to buy some cheap pens, let's say 50 cents. And you're going to make economies from stupid things and make our daily life worse. And you say, no, I'm not going to make cost cutting. I'm going to optimize processes. I'm going to install new ERP. I'm going to put more efficient use of the existing resources. And then you expect some acceptance, and instead the employee turns and says, okay, I got it. You don't want to do cost reduction, but you want me with the same resources to do double job, because this is what you say, that you aim at company growth. So if your optimization program is successful, I'm doing now, let's say I'm servicing 10 customers today, and at the end of the optimization program, I will be servicing 20 customers. So I don't get it. What's in for me as an employee, as a worker? I will remain with the same salary, or you will give me some 10% bonus, and you expect me to do double job, double work. So it's difficult to cope with such a resistance. So communication, and again, communication, it's everything, and it's the key to the success of every change. I mean, really every change, as with the Windows. So the steps for the restructuring. First, you need to realign the strategy direction and to reshape the company vision. This is a live process. It's not fixed. We do it now and we forget about strategy and vision and we just go. This is the strategy, and the company vision should be reviewed at least once per year to have a checklist to see if some of the environment variables have changed. Probably some technological breakthrough, probably some new competitor on the market, probably some new regulation from the state, some new products. So a lot of things can change within 1 year currently. And for this reason, this strategy and vision should be realigned every year. So when you start a new business and you have to do restructuring, so you define your strategy and vision, and in order to make it with good quality and also to have good acceptance, so you need first to establish assessment team. So this assessment team involves usually the top managers, so the IT manager, the financial director, administrative director, commercial director, so 4 or 5 people, the top managers of the company. So you sit with them, so you communicate your ideas for the strategy and for the vision. So you take some feedback, you take some new ideas, you do some corrective measures, and the final scope is to translate the general and broad strategy vision into operational goals, which will be understandable for the regular people and will be measurable, because we always need to measure our success, the degree of fulfillment of our change initiatives. So in this step, you could also include external consultants, because consultants they have very big experience, especially in company restructuring. So it's not good idea if you're in big company to request help from outside, to bring some big company like Ernst & Young, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers. So they have specialized departments for company structuring and optimization, and they can give you very, very good ideas, which will pay off quite quickly. So once you finish with the strategy and its translation into operational goals, you establish the change team. So these are your champions and change agents. So at this point, it's wise to include more people, because as bigger is the change team, as bigger are the chances of success, of quick success of the change program. And at this point, you include medium managers, not only the top management. You take on board medium managers, and also in many organizations there are the so-called opinion makers, opinion leaders. So these are guys who are not having some formal position, managerial position, but they are very skilled, very knowledgeable, or they are natural leaders, or they are having many years in the company. For some of these reasons, they have gained the respect of their co-workers and co-employees, their colleagues. And for this reason, it's important for you to gain their support and acceptance for the planned change. This is crucial for you to accelerate afterward the change process. So after having your change team, it's okay, you push the button and start the throttle, and you execute the plan. So again, coming to the communication. Communication is everything. The best way to achieve quick results in communication is to be totally transparent about the reasons you do the change and the final targets. Many times, and it's natural, people are scared from the unknown. So in order for them not to be scared, you have to describe to them, you have to draw them the picture. You have to show them where are you taking them, to which direction, and you have to explain them very well why, with arguments and reasoning. So let's make them accept the change, let's say, reasoning. So after you change the process of change, you will find a lot of unexpected deviations from your very nice and carefully drafted change program. So you see, for example, you have two people in some department. You have planned to leave only one person, and the other person to be reallocated to some other department. And suddenly, when you go into more details, you understand that your initial estimation was wrong, that one person cannot do the job for which will remain. So you need two persons, and probably with let's say with new customers and increased work, there will be even one person more needed in this department. So you need to readjust the whole plan to reimagine how the things will be done. So these are the loops, let's say the loops. We plan, we do action, we execute, we measure the results, we receive feedback from the system, we make some corrective measures, and again, we do action, we execute, we plan. I think most of you have seen this simple, how to say, triangle of managerial decisions. So planning, actions, measure, feedback, corrective measures, which is planning, in fact, again, action, etc. So these are the loops and reiterations. So, and because feedback is sometimes difficult to obtain, either because people are afraid to give you honest feedback. Let's say you do some very fancy new information system, and you're convinced that this system will bring huge benefits for the company. So some employees in the company can see some flaws, some problems in the design of this system, but because they see that the top management is so enthusiastic and so dedicated to this change, they are afraid to give their honest feedback and to say, look, on these 3 points, we see problems, and these problems will create huge complications for our future work. For this reason, it's good to have a special team dedicated to execute interim audits of the progress and monitoring. It's good to have to establish in the beginning a few KPIs. So KPI stands for key performance indicators, which will be related to the operational goals defined in your program. So many companies have monthly reportings, which are like 10, 15, 20 pages. So you can get easily lost in these big reports. So you need one dashboard, one page with 3, 4, 5 KPIs. And you need only this one page, because this way you will not get lost. There will be clarity, full visibility of the results and possible deviations, and you'll be able to react quickly and to adapt to the change plan. And this is not only of use for you as a top manager, but it's also of use for the medium managers and even for the employees. So having up-to-date information with feedback for the results of the work accomplished until yesterday, so it's a very big assistance for everybody in the organization. So believe me, even the lowest rank employee, it's in the the person's nature. We all of us, we want to do good our job, and when we go home, to be satisfied from the job which we have done during the day. So if we provide these employees with some tools which will enable them to see at every moment, every day, or at least every week, to see the progress of their efforts, of their work, and to see possible deviations and problems, these employees will start immediately rectifying the deviations and aligning them and coming back to the management with proposals for improvement, because they will see the problems themselves. Well, common issue in medium and big companies is that the whole set of processes is considered so complicated that the managers are the ones who are reading the information and the reports, so employees don't have access to reports, which in my practice has proved to be wrong. So if you want to engage the whole system and to have sustainable, road to the change, you need to provide information in fair and transparent way. So when you have the assessment team, so starting now to the point, when you have the assessment team and you translate the strategy into operational goals, so you need to use some framework. So here is one exemplary framework called SMART. So this is approach for goal setting. So you have to set the goals to be specific, as we said, to be measurable, which is very important, because if you cannot measure it, you cannot say if you are successful or not in your target. So the goals should be attainable. So they need to have a deadline and time scale. So in the roadmap for the change, you need to define stages to say that, look, we have now this big restructuring in the company, and we divide it in 4 stages. So we have first stage. In first stage, we need to have accomplished this, this, and this. In second stage, we increase the targets. In third stage, we go over, and again. Of course, in order to have acceptance of the restructuring and to make all people work for the ultimate goal, you need to gain their support. In order to gain their support, all people should be convinced, or at least the majority of them should be convinced, that the targets, the goals which are set by the management, are achievable, that they are realistic. And they should be, as we said, specific, so translated to their language to be understandable. So I will give you the example now. So we start now with Belovo. Okay, we finished the theoretical part. We start with Belovo. So Belovo paper mill is a tissue paper producer. So Belovo is between Sofia and Plovdiv, a small picturesque town. The factory is laid on 210,000 square meters. So it's quite a big area. In the big area, there are few production buildings, each one with 30 to 40,000 square meters covered built-up area. And these are the 2 main product lines, the 2 business units, let's say, of the factory. So on your left, you see the initial raw material. So the company is producing paper. So what does it do? It buys. So the chain of the value chain is as follows. So we have trees, okay, in the forest. So we take the trees. From these trees, some specialized companies produce cellulose, or also called pulp, paper pulp. So from this pulp, this pulp is delivered then to factories like Belovo, Belana, and it is the factory produces some big rolls, which you see on your left. These big rolls of paper are the raw material for the final stage of production, which is on the right side. So some companies called converters, because they convert the raw material to final consumer product. So they are taking these big jumbo rolls with tissue paper, which is very light. It's like 15 grams per square meter. It's very lightweight material and very fragile. So you need amazing precision and in order to achieve good quality and uniform grammage. So taking these jumbo rolls, you put them on some machines for unwinding, rewinding, producing toilet rolls, kitchen towels, napkins, facial, etc. So these are the products of Belana. So the 2 business units. Why we say that we have 2 business units? Because the sales of Belana were 90% on the left side. So the Belana was producing from paper machines, from the paper making business unit, these big jumbo rolls, and it was selling them to companies which were producing the final consumer product. So Belana is the supplier of paper for Bulgarian brands Zebra, for Bulgarian brand toilet paper Emeka and Milde, for Zeva, let's say in Greece. We supply the company which produces Zeva for Greece. So this is a B2B business, which means that we are working only with companies, with big companies, and we sell to them these jumbo rolls. On the right side, it's totally other business. So the company takes these jumbo rolls, produces final consumer products, and markets these products on the Bulgarian market and also doing some exports. So this is FMCG business, meaning fast-moving consumer goods. So you're working directly with retail, small shops, with big national chains like Kaufland, Metro, Billa. So it's totally different type of business. So on the left side, we have industrial. On the right side, we have consumer end. So for the consumer, just to have idea, the monthly available capacity of the factory is 12 million rolls, toilet rolls per month. So it's almost double the population of Bulgaria. A lot of machines and quite modern ones. So what was the situation in Belovo? Our case study. So I'm going to read this text. So the company is having 120 years of history. Back in 1997, the company was privatized. It was state-owned during the communist era. So it was privatized and sold to a Greek investor who was having also paper mills in Greece, Egypt, and Hungary. So until 2018, when I undertook as a CEO of the company, it was still listed on Bulgarian Stock Exchange and traded. But when the company was privatized in 1997, it was having 90% market share in the consumer market of toilet and kitchen paper in Bulgaria. So it was almost a monopoly in Bulgaria. While gradually the company lost its market share due to new competitors entering the market, due to the new way of doing business, because the new national chains like Kaufland and Billa, they are a new phenomenon in general for many countries and also for Bulgaria. So these big chains, they are very they are squeezing the prices. Their buyers are very demanding in terms of discounts, of pushing down costs. So it's very difficult to adapt to the situation with working with big chains. When in the past you have worked only with small chains, and it was, let's say, in the past it was seller's market, which means that the seller, the paper producing factory, was dictating the conditions and the prices. And nowadays, this is buyer's market, which means that the buyers, the big national chains, they are dictating the conditions. So the factory was not able to accommodate to the new way of doing business with these big national chains, didn't invest enough money in advertisement, which was more and more needed, and also lost competitive edge compared to the new companies which entered the market, because it was not focused on the consumer products. So from 90%, the company went to 1% market share. You understand how big the fall was. So amazing. So the company ownership changed in 2017, and the sons of the initial owner, they brought on board new management, including new CEO. So the aim of the restructuring program, which they had in mind, was to align the activities of the factory with currently available best practices in the paper sector, and to bring the company back to profitability after 7 years of losses and having the own equity of the company going dangerously down. So what was the strategy and the vision in the starting point of January 2018 when we started the restructuring program? So the company was losing money. The shareholders didn't trust the company, so they didn't want to support it with money for investment in machinery or advertisement or something else. Also, the banks which were financing the company, they were disappointed from the performance of the company. Some of the banks wanted exit, meaning they wanted their money back. Some other banks were just sitting down on standby and were observing, but were not willing to support with new fresh financing any further spending without sense and direction and vision of their money. So we needed to build up on shareholders' value and to increase the value of the company in the eyes of the shareholders, either the formal ones, the owners, or the banks, which are also considered as quasi shareholders because they are financing the company. So the first pillar was increase shareholders' value. The second pillar was to provide excellent customer experience. Because the company was losing constantly customers, there was huge turnover in customers, meaning that we have 10 customers this month, so we deliver to them paper. They get disappointed from the quality, from the deadlines for delivery, which are not kept, and so they terminate relations with the company. So next month we find another 10 customers, and again we disappoint them. So eventually the company, the Belovo paper mill, exhausted the pool of available customers in the region. Everybody knew that the company sucks, that it produces low quality paper without keeping deadlines for delivery. So it was really a disaster. So the idea was to provide excellent customer experience by very good service and good quality products, which are also tailor-made. And the third pillar of our strategy and vision was to keep focus on people, because up until then, people was heavily neglected. So whoever had some ideas for innovation was discouraged. Whoever needed was contributing for the company activities and wanted some extra money, some extra reward, was said that the company is in difficult financial situations. So if he wants more money, he has to find another job. So for this reason, there was a big high turnover in personnel, very low morale and self-confidence in people, because they were seeing how anger customers with us and how bad the reputation of the factory is. So when you work in a company with bad reputation, you imagine that you don't have the best self-confidence. So the idea was to develop sense of pride and a sense of self-fulfillment, that there is the things which I do every day, they matter, they bring something better for the company, for the customers. So the idea was to create people-centered culture, which would eventually pay back by providing support from the whole set of employees back to the company. So we started with full due diligence of the company resources. This is a standard procedure when you are new in the company. What do? You ask first for the organizational diagram to understand who are the bosses, what are the relations between the departments. So probably if you have studied the ARIS software, you can sit down and map the business processes, so to have better idea about them and start thinking how to redesign them and optimize them. So you do full inventory, in fact, in all existing technical capabilities, stocks availability in the warehouse. So what type of brands, what type of customers, what know-how, unique know-how do we have, and what is the available manpower? What are their hidden, let's say, resources and skills? It's usual to do SWOT analysis and PESTLE analysis. So have you worked with these two tools? I would like to see some small feedback here about similar techniques of analyzing business.
Yes, it's like a prerequisite to start drawing the change and restructuring.
Okay. Have you ever done SWOT analysis? Somebody else, or PESTLE analysis of any company, either theoretical or in the practice? Okay. So we continue. Mr. Yalamov. Hello?
Mr. Yalamov?
Okay. Anybody except Tsvetana probably has worked with SWOT analysis or PESTLE analysis?
Sorry, I heard my name.
Yeah. I was asking the students if anybody of them has worked in practice or in theory with SWOT or PESTLE analysis. So Tsvetana was well aware of the concept.
I'm pretty sure that the others also, at least those of them who has studied in Sofia University, because it's something which is necessary, at least in bachelor degree and of course in master degree, to have this analysis.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not following the presentation, but I was in the studio, right? So I'll hop and off and on.
Okay, it's totally okay.
So. We have some theoretical knowledge, but we are not specialists, as we can guess. So.
Okay. So look, these concepts are self-explanatory. So in the SWOT analysis, you analyze the strengths of the business. So which are the competitive advantages? Which are your weak points? So as a result of this analysis, you can identify opportunities and threats for future development. Let's say you do some analysis of technical equipment, of machinery, and you ask yourself, which products we can produce with the best quality, because you cannot be the best in all kind of products. So you analyze in which products you can bring the best results with the lowest cost for you, and this is the way with this SWOT analysis, which you focus on development of products which have potential, let's say, for the companies, and probably reallocate resources from products which you are selling, but you cannot produce with best quality. So you constantly disappoint customers, and also you cannot produce with best cost. So you also, at the same time, you disappoint the customer and you are losing money. So the so-called lose-lose situation. You understand that this kind of products were discontinued, and we focused on products where we were strong. We could provide good quality and make some money. So the PESTLE analysis is similar to but it's more broad because you also analyze the political and economic environment. It includes the technological, of course, and the legal. There is a legal dimension everywhere. Many businesses are regulated by the state or by international regulations. For example, in the paper, there are some certifications which you can get, which can bring you competitive advantage. The so-called fair trade certification or certification for sustainability, which means that you are using paper not obtained from the forests of Amazonia, but legally planted and harvested with the specific aim to produce pulp and afterward paper. So that you are using responsible chain of supply. So the biggest thing about manufacturing and heavy industries is the volume. So if you hear about heavy industry, the key point always is volume. So because heavy industry they are very capital intensive, so you have big investments in machinery. To have an idea, one paper machine or machine for producing tissue paper costs around 30 million euro. So this is quite high barrier for entry of competitors. And also in order to run efficiently this machine, you need highly skilled workers, which are not easy to find in Bulgaria. So when you have machines, few machines, so expensive machines, what you need to do in order to be profitable is to produce big volumes, to utilize well the capacity of the machines. So the first big question which was put on the table for the production was how much can we produce and what quality can we produce. So we executed a technical audit by consultants sent by the producers of the machines, and also we used some expert freelancers. And the aim was to understand what is the current capacity of our machines, and if they are technologically up to date with current technologies, and if they are able to produce good quality paper. So the findings were, the answer to this big question was that currently, the factory was producing at 35% of its capacity. The core technology for paper making was up to date. Still, some peripheral technological interventions and investments in machinery should be made in order to ensure good quality. And special reference was made to the final consumer products, where Belana produces only 10% of installed capacity, meaning that we could produce 10 times more than our current output, but we didn't have market, we didn't have customers. So I don't know if you have seen a break-even point analysis. So probably the guys who have previous bachelor degree in economics or business administration have seen it. But this is the key point in how to say bringing a company which is losing money in heavy industry to bring this company to a profit. So the idea is the following: one big heavy industry has a lot of fixed costs. This means costs which are independent of the volume which is produced. The salary of the CEO, the salary of the financial director, the salary of the IT director. So either we produce 10 units per month, either we produce 10,000 units per month. So the salary of the IT will be the same. The salary of the financial manager will be the same. And the depreciation of our machines, which will also be the same every month, either we work or not. So there is some big amount of fixed costs, which we start every month, and we need first to cover these costs and then to start making some profits. Of course, when we start producing, for each produced unit, we have some variable cost. So the fixed plus variable make us the total cost. Let me give you some example. So in this example is with real numbers. So the sales price per unit, per ton of paper for Belana was 2,000 leva per ton. We have fixed costs of €500,000 each month. This is the payroll of the administration, depreciation, interest which we pay to the banks, etc. And we have variable cost per unit for each ton of paper which we produce. The raw materials, the electricity, water, and other materials put inside form a cost of 1,700 leva per unit. So there is a break-even units formula. You'll be able to check it more thoroughly later if you are interested. I will send you the presentation. So with this break-even unit formula, you can have the selling price, the money which cost you every unit, and also having in mind your fixed costs, you can calculate at which point of production or sales you will be neither losing money, neither profiting money. So this is the so-called break-even point. So the break-even point for the factory was 1,650 tons per month. So which equals 45% production capacity load. So if you remember from the previous slide, the situation in the factory was that we were producing a little more than 1,000 tons per month, which was equaling only 35% production capacity. So the idea, in order to bring the factory to profit, we needed to increase sales. Simple like this. So the basic target was to reach 70% capacity utilization versus 35%, which was found in the beginning of 2018. So if you go and tell people that, look, from tomorrow we start to produce double, they will take their things and go home. They will get frightened because they cannot imagine how it's possible to double the output with the same personnel, despite the fact that we know from the experts that it's possible just by running the machines a bit faster. So we divided the target to interim steps, to interim stages. So in stage 1, we had to reach 45% utilization, which means at this stage the company would stop losing money. At stage 2, it will go up to 60%. So the company would start making some money, not bad money. And stage 3, the company would make very good money, something like 5 million leva per year profits, which would be very good compared to 1.5 million leva losses before. So we had this main target in mind, that we need to increase production, keeping also the other pillars, which we said that we keep focus on people. So we ran brainstorm with the assessment committee, which we gathered from the top managers. So we did brainstorming, and we asked ourselves, what should we do in order to increase the production from 1,000 tons to 1,600 tons. And in this case, we used lean practices, lean management practices. So we analyzed the production system, and not only the production, the whole system, in order to find out which are the bottlenecks which currently limit the production. So what is bottleneck? If you have very nice machine which is producing 1,000 tons per month, but at the end of the production line you have a packaging machine which is packaging the product, but this packaging has capacity of only 100 tons. So your whole line is limited to 100 tons per month, because the machine, the point with the lowest capacity, this is the bottleneck, is having only 100 tons, independently of the fact that the rest line, the base part of the line has 1,000 tons or 10 times more. So in this case, you bring more packaging, another packaging machine, in order to double or to triple the packaging capacity. And this way you increase the whole throughput through the system, the whole production. So we determined the bottlenecks. we reach agreement with the top managers how we are going to eliminate them or to bypass them. And we go back again to the simulation and we say, okay, we eliminated bottleneck 1. So what is the next bottleneck? There are 5, 6, 7 bottlenecks in each process. So, and we start making actions and planning how to eliminate which one of them. And then we communicate these actions to the people. So these are the 8 steps of change of the best, the best known practitioner in restructuring and change management. So there are 2 guys in this field. So there is one lady called Kanter. Miss Kanter has 22 PhDs. She was Harvard professor. So she produced 10 steps of change. And her colleague, Mr. Kotter, also produced his model, which prevailed on the market, with 8 steps of change. So the first step is to increase, to communicate well to all people in the system that it's urgent changes to be made. And what are the reasons behind them? You build your change agents, your change team. This is called so-called guiding alliance. So these are the people who will guide, who will lead the change. You communicate the vision throughout the organization. So you support as a manager financially and with other measures or with investments in machinery or in services, in IT products. You enable the change in the whole organization. And then when the organizations start to happen, you have, instead of taking rest, you have to increase the pressure. So putting pressure from the beginning until the end. The pressure never ends. You don't have to let up and to stop. So the execution plan, we created sense of urgency with the employees. We told them that the company is facing bankruptcy and it is going to close. They are going to lose their jobs. We offered to them alternative. We told them that the shareholder is willing to support the company. Also, banks are willing to support the company, but we need the employees' commitment. So we tried to create climate for change, taking the support of the employees and make them participate in the change process. So what are the results of this 2-year restructuring program? So this is what we found end of 2017. So the company was losing 1.5 million leva, was having 305 people in his payroll, and sales turnover was 27 million leva. So this was before. So at the end of 2019, 2 years later, so we stopped the losses because at this point we achieved stage 1. So we increased the capacity of the factory to 45%. And this was made by increasing sales turnover by 20%. And the curious thing, which make me proud, is that in parallel, we reduced personnel by 20%. But don't think that we did some huge cutting of personnel. We aligned the procedures, we optimized the production, because lesser the people, more effective is the control over them. All this reduction, which we achieved in personnel, it was kept as a budget and it was distributed back to the employees. So the employees which remained on board, they had their salaries, they saw increase 20 up to 40% of their salaries. So there was optimization in the process, but the people was better rewarded. So in the human relations management, something which concerns some of you which are in the human resources area. So what did we do? So specific measures which we took. So we tried not to do some sudden changes and to cause distress to the system. So in fact, we communicated everywhere that everybody should start working and should start performing. There will be strict evaluating of each individual performance. So this caused some people to leave the company by themselves because they were not willing to work more than before. Some other people, they were not in agreement with the new strategy, that with the concept that some product lines were discontinued. So they also left the company. So we had some turnover, mainly managerial positions. But there was no revanchism. So when the top management changed, we didn't fire, I would say, people appointed by previous management or some intrigues on personal level. Everything was done with transparency. So we did formal evaluations, interviews, also external evaluations with companies which provide personality evaluation tests in order to identify the persons within the organizations which could be promoted to more senior positions. We realigned the organizational structure into 3 transparent levels, and in these levels we applied by benchmarking with regional and regional companies and companies from the industrial sector. We updated the salary and the payment level in order to be up to date, because the company was losing some valuable employees who were leaving for better remuneration in other companies. We introduced bonus system. This is very interesting. Bonus system based on profit sharing. What does this mean? We calculated what would be the benefit for the company if we produce 1,600 tons instead of 1,000 tons. And from this benefit, we gave 15% back to the employees with totally transparent scheme. And the bonus was aimed to be as individual as possible. So the balance was found in team-based. Small teams of 5 people were having individual team bonus based on their real production during the previous month. For this reason, of course, we had to build a special reporting system which provided breakdown analysis of produced goods, of produced products per team. We have also presence bonus and quarterly bonuses for senior management. So with all these changes, gradually within the 2 years, we substituted more than 60% of the middle and senior managers. So 24 out of 38 persons were substituted. So frankly speaking, there were only 2 or 3 dismissals in these 24 persons. Most of them were reallocated. Some of them were demoted because they were not good managers, but they were motivated to work in another job positions. We did some internal promotions, and also we did some headhunting. So in procurement, we diversified the supplier base in order to have a better comparison for levels and to achieve better prices. We organized the warehouses, the logistics and distribution. We outsourced the distribution because when I started in the factory was using own distribution network with warehouses in 6 cities in Bulgaria. So all these warehouses paying rent, paying for machinery, for personnel in the warehouse, for invoicing employees. So a lot of employees, a lot of expenses with very small amount of sales. So we outsourced all this distribution to, as it is done currently by almost all companies, we outsource to big regional distributors. So interesting for financial guys here is the financing. So the company had quite big debt. and 2 million euro from this debt was called back by the banks. So the banks wanted quick repayment. They didn't want to renew the lines of the company. So with the support of the shareholders who increased the capital by 1 million euro, we managed to leverage this 1 million euro and to multiply it to take 5 million euro extra financing from Bulgarian Development Bank. This is a state-owned bank which supports export companies. We also started factoring. So the factoring is something, a very clever tool for exporting companies. When you export, so the factoring company is paying you the invoice at the moment you issue the invoice to the customer. The factoring company pays you the money, and then the factoring is waiting for the customer to pay after 3, 4, or 6 months. So in this way, when you use factoring, you are able to provide to the customers up to 6 months of deferred payment, and the customer needs this credit. So it's the only way to get into serious deals, to have deferred payment. But if you are in very difficult financial situation, if you are in distressed mode, as Belana was, and as many other companies are found to be, so factoring is a very useful tool to bring some money on board and to boost sales. Of course, when you boost sales, you need to take care of your receivables. So it's good to increase sales, but if your customers don't pay you, and you get into trouble. And as bigger the sales, as bigger the troubles for you. For this reason, we started insurance of commercial receivables. This is done by credit insurance companies like Kofas, Atradios, Euler Hermes, and in Bulgaria there is a special company supporting Bulgarian export business. It's called Bulgarian Association for Export Insurance. So also when we approached all these credit insurance companies, we managed to convince them to provide credit insurance toward Belana, which was not done before. And this way we received credit insurance for a total amount of 3 million euro toward Belana. This meant that we were able to postpone our payments to our suppliers to the amount of 3 million euro up to 6 months, and our suppliers didn't have problem because they were taking their money from factoring companies. They were having their receivables insured through these insurance companies, and we received financing from our suppliers. So imagine Belana received direct financing from bank, 5 million euro, received financing through factoring, another 4 million euro, and received financing from suppliers, another 3 million euro. So these are total of 12 million euro financing, which supported the increased sales, because when you increase sales, you increase your need for working capital because you have bigger stock in your warehouse, you have bigger amount of receivables from customers, and your expenses are growing. So when you grow sales, your expenses also are growing. So you need more and more money for working capital. So when we manage the financial thing to support the increased turnover, we turned into commercial. So we appointed dedicated commercial director for the final products. We started a new product line, new brand. We launched a new brand for toilet papers. And in the semi-finished, the jumbo rolls, which we sell to other big companies, producers of toilet papers, we appointed a local commercial representative in the biggest nearby export markets, in Serbia and Greece. And with the support of this commercial agent, we managed to enter some very big customers and to start sales. So what we did in the production. Okay, so in the production, we headhunted new engineers. We organized travels abroad on technical exhibitions. We translated the best available practices in the sector into Bulgarian, and we made trainings with the production personnel. And we brought a lot of production experts to prepare reports with recommendations for increasing the quality. The result was that we increased the quality and we increased also the quantity, aiming, we covered stage 1 of our target and we continued to stage 2. So what else? I have to come back a bit and I'm finishing. So in the human relations, so what did we do? We had this training. I don't know where is it. Sorry, just a second. So anyway, look, we did a lot of training for the change agents, for the top managers of the company and the middle managers as well. So we gathered them and we did 2 big trainings. With one was with company C team and other was with company Ames Capital, which trained us according to the Dale Carnegie leadership model. So the idea was to develop soft skills, leadership skills, self-organization skills, and self-reflection abilities in these managers who were tasked with duties to accomplish the change project. So finally, for the IT guys, I need to say that we had a very good ERP system. At the same time, very old, a mature installation with very peculiar database. So it's not a relational database, it is hierarchical database. It was really difficult to take the information into relational structure model. So we took it out and we created a data repository, which we installed on top of it a business intelligence tool called. So there are these business intelligence tools for understanding well the KPIs of the factories and interpreting the information which you gather from the various systems. So they are Tableau, ClickView, Power BI of Microsoft. I'm not 100% sure. I think that in the Sofia University they are using Tableau in their and also ClickView in big data analytics. Anyway, we applied this very sophisticated reporting system. So we had this one-page dashboard, which was refreshable with one click. So at any given moment, we had a very clear idea where we stand and where are we headed, so and what's going on in our system. As a report, having these reports in hand, we are able to organize efficient weekly meetings with senior management, bi-weekly involving also middle management, and monthly meetings with the whole production team, discussing the results of previous month and collecting feedback for the close future, what should be changed in the program. So as we said, planning, assessment, laying down strategy and vision. So making assessment, incorporating planning procedure, executing, and then step 4 is making audit and post audits. So any questions are welcomed now or later. We are already, I think we are in time. So we have 10 minutes for QA. I'm available even more. of course. So anybody? We don't have Mr. Yelamov, or?
Which was the most difficult thing for you in the process of organizational change? Was it to explain the people? Was it to lose some of them, some of your good people, or which one exactly?
Yeah, so look, in organizational change, so the biggest resistance, a part of personal fears and for getting out of comfort zone or losing power in the new scheme. So the biggest problem is the inertia. So when the system was going with some given way of working for a given period of time, as longer was this period of time, as bigger is the inertia. So inertia is huge thing. So in my case, we had this 120 years old factory. So you can imagine that some of the process inside, they were 20, 30, 40 years old. So there was huge inertia. I remember I went to an machine operator in the packaging department, and I asked him how he handles the input in the ERP when he is packaging the ready production. So he explained to me, and then I asked him, so what do you do in case you have this specific problem, which is quite rare to occur, but let's say in theory, if you have such a problem, how would you react? And this guy answers to me, I don't know, I'm very new in the company, so I'm still learning. And I asked him, so when did we hire you? And we said, I'm working here for 4 years. So imagine he was 4 years in the company and he was considered to be quite new, because there were many people working for 20, 30 years in the company, which was really amazing. So the big thing was that the company degraded over time. So for the last 20 years, they were producing this small quantity, which I found, this 1,000 tons per month. So when I went, I called these experts from outside to make evaluation of the machines, and they said, you can produce more than 3,000 tons without any problem. So I considered task accomplished. I went to the production guys and I told them, look, you produce 1,000 tons, but the expert said you can produce 3,000. So I don't ask from you to go immediately to 3,000. You just go to 2,000. And the answer was that this is, Mr. Yonov, this is impossible. It's not possible to increase even with 100 tons the production. This is the way we are doing things. We have very old machines, and with these old machines, with this old equipment, we cannot increase the production. So people didn't believe that change is possible because inertia was too big. So they were not able to see the bigger picture. They were not in position to believe. It was impossible for them. So the way I broke this resistance was I took the whole team, the whole production team with me in 2 visits to Italy, which is the biggest paper producer in Europe, and another trip to Russia. So during these trips, we visited some technical exhibitions. And a part of this, we visited many factories, which I arranged personally. We have visited more than 8 paper making factories, some of them very similar to our factory, with old equipment. And the production team, we sat down in one of the factories with the owner, who had exactly the same machines as us. And he asked us some details about our machinery. They explained, and he said, okay, so for me, you have to produce 3,500 tons per month. And I said, but look, we are producing only 1,000 tons. We have optimization restructuring program. We are going to double it, to go from 1,000 to 2,000. And he said, guys, it's very simple. Here in Italy, if you produce less than 3,000 tons with these machines, all of you, you get fired. So it's not possible. Come with me. I'll show you my old machines and I'll explain you how I'm running them. So it was convincing people by example. So this is very powerful tool. So when you are unable to convince people about the benefits of the change, so you take them and you bring them to some other company when change is implemented successfully, or they already from the beginning work with the efficient way of doing business, and you show them best practices. And you don't speak, you don't explain, people see by themselves. They are asking the other guys, the other companies, so they are convinced that they are receiving honest information and not biased, because very frequently top managers are not trusted, especially at the beginning, from the lower managers and the employees, because always lower managers and employees suspect that the new manager is going to do some irrelevant to the business things, some stupid things, because he doesn't know the company, he doesn't know the business. So there are very prejudices toward the new managers coming on board. So for this reason, the best way to fight resistance is to bring best practice, to see it in action, in place.
Thank you very much for your answer, and also thank you very much for this inspirational session. I'm extremely happy because I've gained new knowledge, and thank you very much once again.
Okay, so anybody else? Amanda, Boris, Emmanuel, Nikolai? Are you able to speak, or Mr. Yalamov has muted you?
I don't have a question. We're able to speak. I just wanted to thank you for the presentation.
Okay.
It was an amazing presentation.
Okay. So any question about any sector of this restructuring?
Mr. Yonov, thank you for the presentation. It was very inspirational. And my only question is, what will happen next with Belana in what happened next after 2019? Did they continue with the plan? Did they grow up to 60%?
Okay.
Are they still following the track?
Okay, good question. So as a result of the restructuring and the fact that the company was with more stable financials, were technologically modernized and improved significantly its reputation, the owners were able to accomplish their initial idea, which was to find either a strategic partner with knowledge of the industry, either to find a buyer who will buy out the company and continue the business. Because the current owners were at your age, they were 24 and 26 years old. They have studied economics. They didn't have idea about heavy industry, so they were not very comfortable anymore with this investment, because the paper maker, the engineer, was their father. So they were seeking for exit. We did investor roadshow on the Balkans and not only. So we spoke with Germans, Greek guys, Vietnamese guys, with kind support of Elana Trading and Ernst & Young M&A department. And finally, we found the buyer here in Bulgaria. It was the old management team of similar factory with similar activity, called Kostenets Paper Mill. So they are ex-management backed by a hedge fund, by investment fund. They made an offer for the company and they acquired Belana, and they continued the program. So at the moment they onboarded the company, of course, they made full review of the strategy and the vision. they have complemented somehow the direction in the final products and in the machinery investment. And the fight continues. We are going to stage 2. This is the idea. Stage 2 is making some good money, okay? Because as you saw, the company stopped losing money, but it gained like 80,000 leva in 2019, which is in fact a break even. It's not making money. So the deal, Emmanuel, the deal was done this year in March. So now the company continues running smoothly.
Great, thank you. It was really interesting.
Okay. So what about any sysadmin, Nikolai?
Thank you for the lecture. You give us a very inspirational exam how the things are with restructuring going in real life. So thank you very much.
Do you have any business intelligence in your company, Nikolai?
I work mainly in freelancer projects, so it's not a big company or something like this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I have interest in management, and that's very useful for me.
Look, management and successful management practices are sitting on very good quality information. So as Kissinger said, so information is never enough. And timely and accurate information is really crucial for the success. You can convince everybody that it's important and it's good to change. But if you don't know what are you doing, if you don't have the proper reporting, you are lost. You don't know your direction. So which is really bad. So IT is crucial department. So 2 departments are very crucial for company restructuring. One is the human resources. So adequate, timely support from the human resource department is crucial in all these changes, because human resources are usually close day to day to all managers. So, and they are communicating with them, they are having feedback for the way people are thinking, why somebody is going to quit, etc. And the other department is IT. So IT is very crucial in any kind of business, in services, in heavy industry, in commercial companies. So there is no company without proper IT services.
Yeah, totally agree. And exiting the area of comfort is, as you said, very sensitive topic here.
Look, as we said, pressure, and pressure. You cannot stop the pressure. So in the case of Belana, with the inertia of 120 years old factory, okay, we needed 2 years to accomplish the first stage. And also we needed 2 years because some of the modernizations in the machinery, in the equipment, they needed time to be searched for, to be ordered, to be procured, to be installed, and to arrange the startup in order to guarantee the best quality. So in many other companies, usually stage 1 of serious restructuring effort is accomplished between somewhere in the 3rd quarter. So within 6 to 9 months, you should know if your restructuring efforts are going to be fruitful and result in something good. So usually, if you don't see, good change in direction and attitude in persons within the 6 months, So this is a very serious sign that something is going on. And you have to act and to adapt. So Amanda, any question from you? Okay, we don't have Amanda. Huh?
No, I'm okay. Thank you. Don't have any question.
Okay, so then I leave you to this sunny Sunday. Okay, I wish you have a nice nice day, resting day today. I imagine most of you are working, correct? So today it's a new start of a week. So anything you need in order for IT restructuring, for financing restructuring, for evaluation and assessment of human resources, or anything else, have in mind that I have a very broad network of professionals and resources here in Bulgaria, so I can support your thoughts, your initiatives as a type of pro bono consulting, which I'm doing for young entrepreneurs and people in the start of their careers. So any support which you need, you have my details in the presentation which Mr. Yalamov will send later to you. And you are totally free to use and redistribute any part of the presentation for your use. So again, thank you very much and bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Stay healthy and have a nice weekend.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Have a nice
Bye.
day.
Bye. Have a nice rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.